The Reset podcast is sponsored by Bose. With my new Bose QC35 headphones, nothing gets between me and my music. The noise canceling is world class. They're completely Bluetooth, so there's no wires. The sound is amazing. My producer and I love these so much that we use them to record every single show. For more information about Bose QC35 headphones and other Bose products, check out Bose.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Reset podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignott, co-founder of the brand experience agency Digital Flash, and we're coming to you from New York City. Each week, I bring an influential friend from marketing, business, or even government, and we'll delve into what's really happening in the industry and try and make sense of it all. Of course, we can't talk about marketing without talking about how it impacts this very moment in time. We'll laugh, we'll debate, and we'll give frank insight into the ongoing reset of the world of marketing and how to navigate your way through, all while enjoying wine and french fries on my couch. Hello, and welcome to the Reset podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignott. I am so excited to have this guest on the show today, Mr. Mike Street. Hi, Mike. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, Laura? How are you? You were on my podcast.
I know. I feel like that was I think when you first started your Smart Brown Vices, I was one of your guests on the show. So.
Yeah, I had choppy audio and crazy technical issues, but we are in our 70s of episodes now, so we've worked some of the bugs out.
I think as they would say, we gonna be all right. So the deal with the podcast. I try to make this as simple as possible by always asking a fun intro icebreaker question. What was your first job?
My first job?
I feel like I'm going to be terrified by this, but go on.
Oh, okay. So my first job. Well, I've always been very entrepreneurial and
side hustle here,
hustling since I was little, and so probably my first job was doing graphic design work at college.
Really?
Because I really didn't work during high school because my mother wasn't really into that. She really just wanted me to focus on my studies and be the best student that I could be.
You were that indoor child who was only doing his schoolwork all day long.
Yeah, I was such a little black geek and dork during the high schools. I would taught myself how to program 6 different computer languages, and I was
you were
writing,
that child.
Video game scripts when I was 10.
What?
And all that kind of stuff. So I was always into computer and technology stuff.
How were you doing that at 10?
Because I felt well, why not? Why couldn't I do it? And so I came up with this idea for this Flintstones game that I wrote out on 20 pages of handwritten notebook paper and sent it in to the one of the I think it was ColecoVision.
What?
I mailed it. I found their address and I sent it off, put a stamp, and they actually wrote me back and they said they liked my idea. And when I got older,
oh my gosh,
to pursue. But so I always have my hand into technology, but my brain is just weird because I don't really sleep. I'm kind of like a vampire.
This is true because I do email you at odd hours of night because I do.
And I bounce your email back. I was sure, I'm up.
Because you don't. I don't sleep because I drink a lot. You just I feel like you're always up because you're always working. I was Mike never not has a job.
Well, it's I just got this the Fitbit, so now I actually see when I actually sleep.
It's 2 hours.
It's every day it's 4 hours. So it's and I get happy when I see the 7-hour days. But that's when I've walked 10, I've done probably 10 miles of walking or running. And so I've been trying to do that more so I can, my goal for this year, for 2017, was to get down to 200 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How far away from that goal are you?
About 50 pounds.
All right. So I have a goal somewhere around there. I need to lose 25 pounds.
That's good.
Because it's weight on me looks weird. No one can tell what I weigh, but I know how much I weigh. And I'm what?
Yeah, that's with me because I'm tall.
Right.
So weight sits in my body very differently.
Yeah, I have a big butt. So all of it generally goes into my butt. And it's no, I kind of need to distribute a little bit evenly. But back to your job. Okay, so you're graphic designing because you were an indoor child who coded at 10, like Doogie Howser or Mark Zuckerberg.
By the way, I'm like jealous of your whole podcast setup because, I'm like at home on my computer with my little mic and talking to people. And I was like, this isn't a studio. And you have like real mics and people working technology in the back. I was like, damn, this is only just like in this like third episode. I was like, I need to get my sponsor game together.
You have to remember, like, I do things differently than others. It's a branding thing for Digital Flash. So if it's done by Digital Flash, then it has to be a certain way. And I wasn't going to do it unless I could really do it. Because honestly, it's a case study for clients. I'm cheating. Literally, I'm cheating so I can show my clients that this is how you do it, so then I can charge them a ton of money for to actually do it. But like, it's actually a business development tool. It really is a business development tool.
See, that's why I like you, Laura. You think outside of the box.
Yeah. I am firmly a resident outside of the box. I just wave at it and say, "Hi, box." I don't do it. But like, I mean, Mike, you're one of my favorite people in our industry because you do so many different things. So I think
I feel like I'm the phantom of the industry, though. I try to be behind the scenes.
Yeah, but everyone knows you because, like, Mike. Of course, I know Mike Straight. Like literally everyone. So for our listeners who don't know who at Mr. Mike Street is, could you give us a little spiel about who and what you are?
The brand Mr. Mike Street has evolved over the years, but today I just say I'm a digital strategist. But I pretty run my own consultancy. I do digital strategy and marketing and a little PR, but I work with like brands like right now I'm working with AARP a lot. There's probably like my main big brand, but I also work with Toyota. Just started working a little bit with Walmart, and really just try to bring try to help people really figure out the digital social media stuff because a lot of the brands are still struggling. Even today, it's 2017, and it's like people are still struggling with like, how do we make money off of our Facebook page? Or, you still have to really kind of explain to a lot of the, brand clients, like, what are we, what's our strategy? And even today, like, I talk to new brands and it's like they have no idea. They just want to tweet stuff. And I was like, but we have to tweet with a purpose, and we have to, always tell people like, let's do stuff that matters for the brand and not just do willy-nilly things. So I try to come at it from a very strategic standpoint. It's like, how do we, get in front of your consumers? How do we use the content and the creative and the media that we're doing so that we can actually hit your business objectives? And I really try to get my clients to like have a business objective because a lot of them don't have a goal or a business objective. They just want to be on social because they think it's nice.
Yeah, it's always crazy to me because I'm always floored by clients who just, even now, haven't gotten a damn clue. Because it's like, I think the problem has been that they see the Kardashians and so they assume that, oh, well, can't you just tweet like Kim Kardashian and doesn't that solve the problem? And you're like, no, it doesn't.
Someone needs to do a long case study on Kim Kardashian because she's gone through her different evolutions. And I was like, this is what the brands need to do. Like, one, she makes herself very interesting. And I've actually paid money to Kim Kardashian.
Because you play the game, don't you?
No, but I've actually, so in many of my former lives and jobs, Kim Kardashian was a brand ambassador for many of the brands that I worked on. So like for Crest 3D White Chips and Hair Affinity, we've always ended up kind of working with her indirectly on paid projects. So, we've done parties with her. We've done, sponsored tweets with her. We're paying her a lot of money and, we'll get 2 or 3% return on that investment because, her audience does purchase her beauty recommendations. When I was working with Hair Affinity, the reason they picked her was because she posted a picture on her Instagram of the product. And, literally within that week, they were getting millions of sales.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, where's all these sales coming from? And they were like, because Kim Kardashian put this on her Instagram.
But that was not being paid, or that was
organic.
Really?
Yeah.
So she just randomly saw, or
I think she was being strategic because she wanted that money, and she said, "Look at me, like not even trying. Look what I can do." We came with the buckets of money after that. We did a UK launch with her and the rest of the sisters, and we made it a bigger deal.
But I think with brands right now, their whole issue is that they don't want to make compelling, interesting content. Like they still don't see the point. And that's the frustration, because you're like, well, no, just like every other marketing vehicle is grounded in strategy, so is social. And if you don't do that, then you're going to be out in the cold.
I feel like your social media now has to be kind of like a TV station. Like every year, you have your new shows and you get rid of the older shows and you bring in new content and you bring in new faces. And I feel like you have to kind of think of yourselves or all the brands have to think of themselves now as mini networks, and they have their key marquee shows and their key talent, and they're bringing in new faces. And, you have to let's keep it fresh and interesting. Like, Red Bull I think they do a great job of just like creating, compelling content that speaks to their audience.
But yeah, I think it's about that. You need to know who your audience is, and you need to know where your audience is. I love your analogy about it being like a TV station, because if you think about it, you've got like your news, which is like, then you have your local news, and then you've got like, your typical game show, Judge Judy-esque television, and then you've got your dramas, your comedies, and that kind of is where a brand sort of needs to sort of sit, because like they have to like be informative, they have to be entertaining, they have to be local, and
it would give them like a perspective of like how do we really approach, especially for like if you think about segmentation too, like how do you create programming that's female focused, men's focused, kids, whatever it is, like you can kind of find an avenue. And I think that's where the paid media stuff comes in too, because we can start to target and push out all of that kind of like niche content to to the right audiences, so that's where all those targeting tools that Facebook and Twitter have could become important. And I see like a lot of brands like still haven't figured out YouTube, but I was like, I see great returns on YouTube, because people are creating that compelling content. And I'll probably like spend 90% of my time just watching things on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. I watch like everything. Because I'm also obsessed with like old TV. So I watch like I Love Lucy probably like 60% of the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like old Hollywood movies and all that kind of stuff. So I watch like a lot of that stuff because I just find it. I just like that time period of this like when
it's black and white.
Yeah. No, I love black and white movies. I grew up on like Blondie, Dagwood, and all that other kind of stuff. And so I just watch a lot of that. But then I'm also looking for like subculture, because there's a lot of like weird stuff that you will see on YouTube that you're not going to see anyplace else. There's a lot of weird stuff that's here. But I was like, it's these fringe cultures now that people have to start paying attention to, because there's, those are where a lot of new ideas are starting to bubble up from.
It's interesting that there's finally a home for different cultures, whereby like it used to be in the kind of dark recesses of little chat rooms far, far away in the land of MySpace and Friendster 10, 15 years ago. And now, they have a channel on YouTube. And you can just, if you... It's interesting. It's sort of democratized fringe in a way.
Yeah. There's this one guy I watch. His name is Jeffree Star. And so he's a mixture. He's kind of like a punk rock, makeup artist, drag queen, all mixed into one. But he's created this brand called Jeffree Star. So it's like so he's got his own makeup company. And he's like moving millions of products. He just did a video where he brought like this crazy expensive pink Barbie doll car. And I think the car cost like $100,000. So I think he said last year he made like $4 or $5 million with his company. But I was like, this is examples of like where kind of like his fringe culture that he's kind of tapped into has really taken off and made him money. Like he did a whole holiday collection of different lipsticks. And I felt like half of these people are just going on Alibaba and, and sticking a different stamp on some products like Kylie Jenner did with her lip thing. But people are able to build these audiences and they can sell anything now.
Well, it's interesting because you talk about Kylie Jenner, because like a lot of people are accusing her of stealing a ton of stuff. because like that the I think there's a makeup artist whereby like that lip treatment where it sort of looked like a dripping lip. She apparently swiped that for somebody else and then didn't credit her, and then that is using that for her lip kit. So you have this. It's sort of this weird universe of like online plagiarism.
Everything is a remix now. Just look at the language that a lot of kids use today. They say like honey and Miss Thing or all of that stuff, but that comes from a certain subculture that people discovered on YouTube
because they're watching the videos.
Yeah, because they're watching those videos, and then that started to permeate into pop culture, and now it's mainstream.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like nothing is new because like we're sitting here doing a podcast, which essentially is a radio interview.
Yeah,
like, it's the same kind of equipment. There is no video, and it's just people talking. This has been being done since the beginning of time. And to think about what I can't even think of something that's like, oh, this is so new, it hasn't been done before. Of one thing in our universe that is completely new and different.
Or maybe like virtual reality or something like that stuff.
It is, but it isn't, because if you think about, I mean, like when I was at CES last week, like it was funny because like Intel had this experience where you could go down 3 different paths of VR. One, the kind of very first version of it, which was like the big Oculus headset with the headphones attached. And then this other one is sort of like, it's like this immersive video whereby like, you can hear, you almost can feel it. The video is so rich that you really feel like you're traveling through space. There is sort of this like sensory change whereby like, you're like, ooh, that's like really close. And then they have this other one, which is like their super duper one, which like, you have like this controller, and the controller is essentially reacts to your movement. So basically, it's sort of putting you in the moment a little bit more. But then when you think about it, like it's just the movies. Mm-hmm. Because what happens when you go to the movies, like you sit in a chair, you stare at something, and then you begin to interact with it. You start to feel something. You're watching the movie, and you're going to have a reaction. And then if you're in a roller coaster, or the same deal, like you're in a roller coaster, you're strapped in, you're going to feel something new, and then like you're going to have a reaction to it. Like that's been happening since the beginning of time. It's just a different type of technology.
Yeah.
If you look at social media, it's marketing. That's why I say to clients all the time, it's just marketing. It's just different type, but like just how you thought, doing an ad in print where it was in black and white and you'd have a big font versus a small font because you wanted to show off different pieces of this ad. Same difference. It's just a different medium, but like it's still marketing.
And marketing is fun.
So I love how we like went headfirst into marketing, and we didn't even get to the fact that what you also do, because again, Mike, you are again like a Jamaican, have 11,000 jobs. You also are the host of Smart Brown Voices, so I would love for you to talk about what Smart Brown Voices is and why it's awesome to our lovely audience.
Well, it was kind of it was a reaction from me because I was seeing a lot of, I travel around the country a lot. And I was seeing that, and I meet a lot of amazing people, and I go to all these cool conferences. But, I don't see like where, my counterparts are getting like the press. And I see like all of these kind of startup companies are getting a lot of press, but I still felt like, especially outlets like Black Enterprise are still kind of missing like all of these other people that are doing all this amazing stuff. So I wanted to create a platform where I could really just highlight, kind of this new crop of millennials, but also, people like myself who are,
out here working.
Almost AARP age.
Oh, stop.
But just out here on the grind and who've been in this space for a long time, but who are actually putting together like cool businesses or doing really fun things from an artistic perspective. And I really wanted to kind of just highlight and showcase those people. So we've had people on the show like Cullen Jones, who's the 2-time gold Olympic swimmer. We've had R&B star Tidra Moses. And we've had just a bunch of like awesome startup founders who are creating amazing apps and amazing companies and really also trying to tackle kind of the diversity in tech issue as well.
Oh,
so
God.
I wanted a place where people could kind of see, here's the talent, here's the pipeline, here's some of the companies that you can work with and pull from.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the diversity in tech thing is a whole other conversation. Because, like, yeah, it's like we see the same people who are speaking at all these conferences, the same people who they quote, and it's annoying because it's like if you looked just a little bit longer, you can find some other
Yeah.
folks who do.
I
Who
mean,
are,
I got tired of hearing like, we can't find anybody. I was like, if you know me, I always call myself the Professor X of like the Black and Tech scene because like Professor X has this machine called Cerebro, and so he can tap into every mutant on the planet. And, so he has tabs on everybody. He knows, like, somebody's chilling in Siberia who's got firepower. He knows who that person is and he can go find them with Cerebro. So I've kind of become that for the Black tech scene. Like, I know pretty much everyone who's working on something interesting. They've come to me at some point to ask me for advice or connect. To be a connector. And that's kind of like I really consider myself as that connector person.
So you're really Professor Xavier. So,
yeah.
And so basically, when it comes to Black people in tech, we're all kind of like X-Men, and you're Professor Xavier. And yeah, no, I'm down. So if that's true, so then you got Cerebro. What other power do you have?
Probably the power to stay up all night and not go crazy.
So you are a vampire. So actually, you do have vampire.
I always considered myself a vampire from a very I wanted to be a witch, but then I thought a vampire was a little bit cooler.
Everyone knows who you are, and no one can ever say a bad word because it's like Mike will help anyone on earth, and I think it's a testament to the fact that you, one, get hired by amazing brands, but then you also give back to our community in so many unique ways by providing so many great platforms and hiring these people.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to, I want people to kind of follow my example. Like when I get the opportunities to come into, a Publicis or places like that, I will, when I was working agency side, I would be the only Black male that was probably an account supervisor. And I probably even to this day have never met another Black male account supervisor who worked at, at a major mainstream agency.
I'm thinking. Hold on.
It's hard to pick them out, but
I think I know one.
But see, that's bad.
Yeah, it's bad.
And so, like when I come into those situations, I was like, well, I always say like, okay, when I get here, I'm gonna bring 10 resumes and try to get, some other people. So, like our good, when I went to VaynerMedia, I tried to bring as many Black people into Vayner as possible. Like Mary was there, probably a month later.
Yeah, it's really important to sort of lift as you climb. With a lot of our events, when I hire to help with my events, and then my clients notice, and they're like, "Wait a minute, Laura, like, thanks so much for making this event so diverse." And I'm like, "You have one Black person speaking, and it's me." Like, we know, but all your staff, and I'm like, I hire really good people. They happen to look like me. That's the difference. So I'm proving a point that like you hire DF because we do a really amazing job, but we hire good people. The good people we hire happen to look like me. There's no leap here. So like if I can find them, you can find them. If you can't find them, ask me and I will introduce you. But like it's still very rare. Like 7 years into sort of running my own agency and having a whole plethora of clients, it's still very rare to see more than one or two who look like you and me. And it's crazy because
I mean it's a process and it may not even get solved in our lifetime.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, when I look back at my legacy, I do want people to say like, Mike Street was the most helpful dude that I ever knew. Mike Street got me a check. Because I try to make sure everybody gets paid.
Same here.
Because that's important.
Well, yeah, that's the thing I always say that, like, I think it's a big economic side of the universe. It's like, Laura won't protest, but Laura will get you paid is kind of the way that I always sort of look at this. Because I always see it like, I would, rather than me marching with you, would you prefer to get paid or would you prefer to march? And just saying, because like there are people who are going to be doing that, but like I think economically, if I can hire you and people can see that you do great work and then get you more than one check, that's going to lead to a lifetime of success versus standing out there with you and Nicole. I think they both have their purposes, but I think where I can help you is like I have kind of broken through a lot of other barriers to get people to write me large checks. And so therefore I'm like, hey, dude, like, that's why I always email, hey, Mike, you available?
No, I've had people come to me, like, I put them on a panel, and, 2 weeks later, we're like, oh, from that panel, I got X job, or I got two other opportunities to speak at other places, and they're actually paying me, so I want to bring people those types of opportunities, because I feel, again, it's a showcasing issue that I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to just show, like, here are the people, here's the pipeline. I'm helping you create a pipeline. And, here are the people that you can hire. Because even when it comes to conferences, I've been to every social media conference under the sun, and you see the same two people. I won't name no names.
I know exactly who you're talking about. And I'm like, you again. Oh.
But I was like, and these people are great, but I was like, there's other people, there's other experiences, there's other brands that people have worked on. And I feel like that's important. Because even when I look at the online education space, which is a multi-billion-dollar industry now, I don't even see like people of color actually making courses. And that's another thing I'm starting to like get deep into. I've been talking to other people. It's like we have to get our brain power and our intelligence out there into the universe. And like, all these people are, there's people making $70,000 a month on Udemy because they're doing these amazing webinars on how to code and, in whatever coding language is popular right now, Swift and, mobile development. And I was like, well, African Americans and Latinos, we guys over-index in mobile. It's like, why aren't we doing this stuff? Like I'm trying to teach people now a lot about like putting apps into the App Store. So one of my most recent Smart Brown Voices interview was with a guy who actually had 135 apps in the App Store, and he had over 9 million downloads, and so he actually sold his whole portfolio, for X amount of dollars.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like,
hi, friend.
I was like, oh, I want to get this person because people need to know like this is another avenue that you can do, and he learned it all on his own from taking courses on the web and
really?
Just tinkering around with things and kind of looking at trends in the marketplace. And he did it all from bootstrapping.
Wow.
So I was like, anything is possible. You just have to figure it out.
And where do you think the opportunity is to get more people of color doing good work and getting paid for their work? Like, what's the one sector you think like, hey, listen, this is wide open. And if more folks knew about it, this is somewhere for the taking.
I mean, I do think like the education market is kind of wide open because I do still feel like there's a lot of our intelligence that isn't out there. But then I also feel like, kind of like how do we create that pipeline to connect with more people in the HR space? Because I feel like, again, like they're
over-index.
Yeah, but it was just like, but they're just not seeing. They keep saying like there's no pipeline. Even like most recent articles with Facebook, talks about their failures in creating their pipeline. But I was like, it's not from a lack of them trying. I just feel like it's still a lot of missed opportunities and things that they're still leaving on the table.
Yeah, this is where I sort of sit in terms of the whole like you must come back to social interaction with people, and if people see you enough over and over again, like, who the hell are you? Why are you always at these events? Like, and then, because like, I know I push this a lot anytime I meet, especially any young person of color, I'm like, go network.
Go network, but go network at weird things that you would never.
Exactly.
Like a gardening club or like I'll go to like Harvard, I'll go to like the Harvard law events where I'll be like the only Black person.
Exactly.
There. Like, but I was like, that's great because everyone wants to talk to me.
Exactly. Well, that was my whole thing. It's like, go everywhere where you get invited and take every weird invitation that you get because you never know. Like,
oh, yeah.
So if you're the only Black person there, okay, great. Go make friends. People come like, well, what brings you here? because it's going to happen. And I always say, go buy the cheese and go buy the food and go buy the booze, because like that's the first place everyone wants to go to, and everyone gets a little loosened up.
Booze is the first social network.
Yeah, of course, alcohol is always
that's what gets people loose. And trust me, I've made many a deal over a cocktail.
Yeah, it's literally it's how I've built the business. Like that's how I've built DF, because like I like to have a cocktail, and I will invite you for a cocktail, and then you will hang out with me, and then you'll want to either work with me or you're gonna hire me.
One thing that a lot of our people in our community miss out on is that, you know, we can't hang out around. If we want to be really about our business, you can't hang around like everyone that looks like you all the time.
No.
Like you have to go out into different spaces, like meet scientists, meet people who do accounting, lawyers, everyone in between. Like I have like a crazy Rolodex of just like people I've met over the years who do a little bit of everything from like painting, art, you know, people who are mathematicians and everything else in between. And I feel like having all of those people kind of just like around you, like you learn so many different things and can kind of like expand your thinking. But then also like being really personable, because I was a shy person. So I actually had to force myself to go network. I was like, I'm not going to get any clients or have a real career if I don't get out the house and actually meet people. So I was like, okay, how do I do this? So I'll start with 2 bourbons. And after the 2 bourbons, I'll be a little more looser at the party, and then, you know, it gives me a little confidence to talk to somebody. And so it just started from there. Yeah, the liquid courage. It kind of just started from there. And then, you know, I started to figure out, like, who am I as a brand, and, like, what do I bring to the table, and why would anyone want to hire me? Because, you know, I just jumped into this. Like, my first client, fortunately enough, was Nielsen. And I was able to...
A teeny tiny startup.
You know, but they were, you know, I actually met them at the Blogalicious conference, and, you know, they were looking for someone to help them with social. And so they became my first client. And, you know, it kind of just went from there. And I've been extremely fortunate to, like, not have to advertise. And, you know, my form of advertising is going to sit on panels, because I feel like if people hear me talk about what I do, then they know, like, oh, that's the guy I need.
Because you sound smart. You're like, he sounds smart.
Yeah.
He is smart. He is kind. Yeah, I mean, it's so true. It's like we talked about before on the show about like just giving yourself a degree of getting out of your comfort zone. It's like, just as you try and tell your white counterparts, come to our stuff. Same deal. Come to their stuff. And go to the random ass stuff, like the weird live painting
like
thing.
SQL developer night.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Go to a startup breakfast at 7 a.m. with a VC who's hosting. Go. I don't have a startup. Who cares? Go.
First one I went to that was weird. I was like, oh, what's a hackathon? And so I was like, well, that sounds like something I should probably just go to just to get the experience. And so I went there. I was like, oh my God, these people are like so smart. And I have no idea what I'm doing here. But, you know, I just like was, you know, I had my liquid courage, and I just found a team, and we made a little project and went from there. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, you know, I started just going to other random things that are, you know, where it's outside of my zone. But it was, you know, that kind of, those experiences to me are beneficial, because you get to see just like all different types of personalities, because this is, you know, the working world that you're going to have to, you know, to deal with. Yeah,
it's really important to not be I can't say enough how it's really important to just be fearless about it all. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you really just can't. I mean, it was funny. Like I was on vacation, my first vacation in 9 years last week, and I was texting one of my friends, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not doing anything today," and she's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Nothing," and I was like, "Wait, fucks I give 0," and I was like, "Actually, that's kind of gonna be my mantra for the rest of the year: fucks I give 0," and it's kind of the same thing. It's like you really can't. You just have to be like, "All right, let's go for it." Like I haven't, like why would I not try something? Why would I not go somewhere? Like what's the worst that's going to happen? No one's going to throw me out of something.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to be like, oh, you can't come into this. If there's an open invitation and you RSVP and you pay your fee or whatever it's going to be and you show up and you're on a list, you're not going to have a problem. If you go to an event and you sneak in, you'll probably be able to stay. Like, I've snuck into many an event with a business card. Like, people don't check, especially when you come late. But like, just don't worry about it. Like, don't be afraid.
And don't, I always say, I've been saying recently, it's like, don't wait for permission either. Nope. Because there's a lot of people are like, well, should I do this? I was like, why shouldn't you do this? So don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone to tell you or, give you the green light. If there's something that you're passionate about, just do it, because like for me, like my brain is always just like thinking about new stuff. So I will just go and learn what I want to learn. Like if I want to write a book or develop an app or.
Because like you've written like books stuff. And like where are your books now?
I've done like a kid's book. I'm about to publish the second one with probably like sometime this week.
This week.
So I was like, there's this, when I get an idea so even if I don't make any money off of it, it's really about, for me, the experience. It's like, how do I actually put together a book and write the story and get the artwork done and tell a story that I wanted to tell that was different from what I was seeing in the marketplace. And, same with the apps I've been making. Like I've been working on just like figuring out like how do I get people to download my app. Like I made like a crazy casino app that was about Halloween, and I just left it in the App Store. I didn't even promote it. And then so I came back and I looked in my App Store in December, and I was like, wow, this thing had 172,000 views in the App Store. So I was like, I probably should have updated it during Halloween. But I was like, that was learning for me. So now I'm like working on things that are like very trend focused. I'm working on an app now that's focused on Valentine's Day. So I can kind of capitalize on that trend. And I'm working on another app for HBCUs. And this is the stuff that I think about because I feel like this is where the economy is now. Like people are making billions of dollars on the App Store and information products are huge. And I feel like that's where, I kind of like want to kind of pivot and shift some of the things that I'm doing so I can focus on some of that stuff.
So you think that we're now sort of entering this age of whereby like the App Store is really where everyone's going to be and forget about any sort of website whatsoever because that's just jibber jabber.
I mean, look at Now This, they got rid of their homepage or their website 2 years ago. And they're pretty much just a completely social and pretty much mobile first brand, and they put out and they're getting 3 or 4 billion video views a month, so every, you'll see the Now This brand almost everywhere, but they don't have a website, a physical, they have a website, but it's pretty much, hey, we're Now This.
Go
follow us on these
download
social
the app.
channels.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's how people have to think now. Because it's not about the destination, it is about the content. And a lot of the content does live in all of these different ecospheres now. So it is, and everything is, pretty much has to be mobile first. So people have to start thinking like that. Because there's brands out there, I'm just like, well, why are you doing this video this way? Or why don't you have captions on your video now? Because that's what the millennials want.
Yeah, it's about, definitely the captions in the videos. It's like, no, because like it's in the feed.
Yeah.
And so if they don't, and they may or may not have the sound on. So like if I see the caption, I'm like, what? Oh, I'm going to read this. But then you also have this whole universe of like new people who are, again, running businesses because they're developing these apps that are just timely, like the Valentine's Day app or the Christmas app. And, it's funny. I met the dude who built the recommendation engines for porn.
Oh, wow.
When I was in Vegas last week. And I had a fascinating conversation with him because he's like shutting down all the sites. Mm-hmm. And they're all moving to mobile. And I was like, this man is very wealthy. Mm-hmm. And he's like our age.
But you'd be surprised, like porn is tons of technology innovation came from that industry.
Dude, essentially he's Taboola for porn.
Yeah.
Like he's Outbrain and Taboola and all those other ones for porn. And he's been doing this for 15 years. And so part of it, he's also burnt. But like, he's like, basically, I'm shutting down all the sites. Everything's moving to mobile. And now his new business is emojis.
That's what I've been working on too.
And I was like, what? It has nothing to do with porn whatsoever. It's all about what they call digital hieroglyphics now. And how do you have these conversations with brands using digital hieroglyphics? And so, like, they'll essentially gonna do the licensing. And so, like, if you're a brand and you want to license out an emoji, they will build you something customized. Because
look at Kim. You know, Kim-moji was a big hit. You know, almost every celebrity now, Justin Bieber, everyone
Amber
else has, Amber Rose, everyone has an emojis app. And it's and people are like mystified, like, how do you do this? I was like, it literally took me 45 minutes from creating my emojis to publishing it to putting it in the App Store. The long period of time is just waiting for Apple to actually approve it. But otherwise, anybody can do it because it's just really right there built into the Xcode platform. But, you know, again, it's just like people get scared with technology. Well, it's like if you guys, you know, Unity to me is like the mothership of this like information because I'm always on there learning something new. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know you could do it. I didn't know it was that easy. But, you know, so I'm always just trying to stay ahead of the curve. But like, yeah, I think mobile is everything now. Like when I was working for one of my brands, one of the things that we were seeing was that, you know, our woman was shopping at midnight and she was 80% of her purchases were on her mobile phone. And so what I started to do was like, so how do we get her to buy more? And I started going through the process of like from clicking on the product to actually purchasing. And so it took 9 clicks between looking at the product to finishing their checkout to buy. You know, so I was like, we have to move at least 7 of those clicks from out of this process because we will maximize our sales if we can do that. And that's what we started doing. We started making it mobile optimized, making it faster. And now and this was, you know, 4 years ago, but we were able to, you know, probably triple our sales just from that short exercise. But now, like when you have platforms like AMP and, you know, Instant Pages and everything else, like it's super instantaneous that you can serve up pages to your customer now. So look at Amazon, like, I'm obsessed with Amazon.
Same here.
I can go buy sneakers in 2 clicks from Amazon, and that's what your business should be. How do you decrease the friction of the product to your customer now?
It's nuts because I think about like how I love to shop, but I love going in the store. And I was for the longest time that customer who was like, I am not buying anything from clothing or shoes online. However, the Guilt app is like crack for me. And I find myself at like 11:30 watching television, probably The Housewives, and I'll just be scrolling through and then I'll see a brand like, wait, this Marc Jacobs bag is on sale. And then and I have unlimited shipping, free shipping. Mm-hmm. So like click, and I'm bought.
It's a dangerous proposition now.
Yeah. And like I know better. Like
my new obsession is Amazon Prime Now.
Dude, so for holiday, that was my jam. I used that to send holiday booze to my clients. Mm-hmm. It was golden.
Because, see, I forgot my sister was coming to Christmas dinner. And I was like, shit, I didn't buy her anything for Christmas. So I'm like on Prime Now. I was like, all right, what can get here in the next 45 minutes? And so I was like, oh, they had like a teapot that was perfect. And I bought her a teapot and some tea. And so literally from the time I clicked to the time it got to my house was like about an hour.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like the most, and I just used it yesterday because I did not want to go to the grocery store.
Well, I had to go to a party from a friend of mine and their kid was turning 1 and I didn't remember that the kid was turning 1. I was like, oh yeah, I had it in my calendar. I'm like, oh, I'm going over to their house. And so I ordered like a kid's toy on Amazon Prime Now and it got to my house. And I was like, oh, great, perfect. So
it's crazy.
But
it's a whole new world, and I'm really excited just to see what is next.
Yeah, I think we all are in this sort of really.
I would love if you do like a CES mini episode on your podcast.
Are you requesting episodes from me?
Just give us a little rundown of what was cool.
What was cool at CES? I'll tell you what's cool at CES. Nothing. Here's why. I don't care about driverless cars. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I think there are so many other reasons why technology should be useful that driverless cars being like the big thing coming out of CES, I think is a disappointment. I think I saw Panasonic had this sort of slice of a car, as you could see inside, and it was basically like chairs facing each other and like this like big table in between, and it was like something out of Star Trek where you could like it was kind of a tablet, and so basically you could be facing people and using this like tablet to like do something, and I'm like, okay, one, this is dumb. Two, from a practical side of the universe, do you realize what happens if this car breaks suddenly?
Yeah.
The people whose backs are to the car could go flying because they may or may not have their seatbelt on. And even if they do, what if this thing sort of flips out? Like, I don't get it. Like, this makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I think
the Jetsons were forward facing.
Yeah. It just didn't make any sense. Then a lot of VR, AR stuff. But my takeaway with AR, VR is that I have yet to see anybody understand the issue that women have with these headsets. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem is you have to get back to where it was like the iPhone. The reason why the iPhone works was because women could put it in their purse. And it felt sleek, and you could get a Louis Vuitton case, and this was your accessory. And until those VR headsets feel like sunglasses, I don't think you're going to have critical mass. And yes, you can have millions of guys playing video games on there, turning to Twitch and like having people watch all that stuff. But I don't see the flip over with behavior until those glasses get smaller. Because like I'm still putting it on my head. It's still jacking up my hair. If I've got makeup on my face, I'm like, ugh. And then you have to wipe it off. The next person who tries it, you're like, oh, no.
Yeah.
The technology is useful. I think that if you are trying to, sell a house, if you're trying to create really interesting, like, immersive experience content, like if you're in, like, they put you in a chair, the chair moves, isn't this cool? Like a roller coaster, I think there's value there. I think if it's like I think there could be some really interesting opportunities from a medical side of the universe. In terms of like helping people maybe, get back some sort of sensory behavior whereby, they can help them take steps and move. I think it could potentially help people with like PTSD because like if they can maybe like begin to relive some of the things they've gone through, it might be helpful to them. May not. It may freak them out even more. But the technology is getting better, but the glasses aren't shrinking, which I was surprised at. I was thinking that somebody was going to have like this really small VR headset that you could put on. And even if it was like, 3 years away, but I didn't see anyone have that.
Patent pending.
Patent pending. I think what's interesting is that like it is definitely the apposition of the universe because I saw multiple refrigerators that now essentially are doing your job for you. So the fridge tells you when you're out of milk. It's connected to Fresh Direct, and it will order it for you, and it will tell you when it's coming, and it will put it in your fridge when you get there. And you'll set it and be like, I won't be home till 5 p.m. When you ship this, make sure it has like the cold pack around it, so it will stay until 5 p.m. Like that level of like detail is now there. And oh, by the way, it's done with MasterCard checkout, so it's all powered by MasterCard. So, like, I think those things are happening, which I think is really unique. I think, big brands are still trying to figure out what the next toy is going to be. Like, AI, in terms of bots, is really unique. And what they have to do with it is going to be the kind of big frontier. I think as apps replace the web, I think the other thing that's going to be replaced is bots are going to take away what you would be doing in Messenger previously. Like, and if you typing now, it's all going to be a bot. Like your customer service is going to be done by a bot, and the bots are going to get smarter and smarter.
As you talk about that, I just I brought some like bath crystals on the web.
Oh, Jesus.
Because actually one of my podcast guests, she runs a kind of like a sleep business, and so one of the things on her website were these crystals. And so, so I'm going through the purchase, and I didn't even realize I had connected through Facebook. And then so after I checked out, like almost instantly, the Facebook Messenger sent me my receipt and was like, here's your receipt for your order. It's on it, And then a couple of days later, it was like, your order has shipped. So I was like, I like this because
customer
it's
service.
Really cool.
Yeah, I'm part of a bunch of these groups on Facebook around the bots universe. I think this is really interesting because of the fact the bot gets smarter, the longer tail can be far more unique. So now that I saw that you bought that house, well, you're gonna need stuff from Crate and Barrel. So here's Crate and Barrel. Here's flat rate moving. Here's Mary Maids for cleaning. Here's the thing for Target. Here's a coupon from Target.
Baby stuff, a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
I think that's the thing I think is actually most unique because you really have an opportunity to get really close to your customer in a way that you probably couldn't before. Like
it's low tech.
Yeah, I mean Amazon.
Not very graphic
I mean it's like how Amazon knows everything about me, like to a very disturbing degree. Like if anyone ever wanted to figure out what I'm about and what I do, check what I buy on Amazon. A time of the day, time of the month, time of the year. You'll kind of figure out like you'll know how many friends I have kids, like how many weddings I go to, based on the stuff I buy, like when I get my hair done, because when I'm buying hair products, but like it's the same kind of thing. I don't know if I can talk about this. So I went to an event with a company that you and I both know that is a social network.
Okay.
That has elements that disappear once you do them, and they recently came with some glasses. But it was like you literally couldn't talk about it. But I think I can talk about it in broad strokes. They talked a lot about the fact that like brands have to be in the moment with you. And so I think it kind of ties into this idea of like the bot knowing more about you. Like Alexa, like the same deal, like all these things getting to actually know you.
Yeah.
And it was part of the reasoning as to where they see this is all going, whereby like if you're in that moment and then you can help people relive those moments, they're going to be closer to you than if you were sort of at a distance. So the closer and closer and closer they can kind of get to be with you, the more likely you are to have loyalty and therefore bring them into your world, and it comes vice versa, and there's this kind of error.
The whole wingman.
Yes, it's sort
type of experience.
Yeah, and I thought that was really interesting because I hadn't been a fan of that brand for a while, but I've slowly begun to get on board with it. And I think part of it has been that I kind of see those elements of personalization that I like. And so I think in 2017, we're going to see more and more and more of that. Because when done well, it's a win. And when it's a mistake, you see it's a spectacular mistake.
But yeah, I mean, personalization, I think, is I guess the next frontier. Because now Facebook has so much data on us, Amazon, like you said, pretty much everything has so much data on us now. I mean, it should be pretty easy for them to serve up like really customized, personalized experiences. So, I guess, we'll see what happens down the road. What's the next company that's going to come out with some, you walk into a house and it's fully painted to your favorite color and, some Black Mirror level type situation.
God.
Where it just knows everything about you.
You know what it is? I mean, look, Airbnb is now an experienced travel company. So it's like, why? Because the brand wants to be with you on your journey. Like they just put in a bunch of money into Resi. So that they can help, because that's the app that's at the Open Table competitor, and so they led their $30 million round of funding, and they're doing it because, okay, so you're now in this new city, You need to book a restaurant. Well, you need the best restaurant. Well, who's going to tell you the best restaurant? The people who've used the app, because they're the same kind of people who would give you a review. And you're like, wait, okay. So like this level of personalization, I know that you are hella bougie. You only will drink this kind of stuff. Or I know that you're kind of PBR and pizza, so you'll be down for this kind of stuff. So like, and with this data now, I can personalize you in a really unique way. So,
yeah. And then so like when you walk into a space, the bot should pop up. Because I think Google does that now to some degree. You know, like when I know my phone is somewhere, it was like, hey, you're at this restaurant. You know, do you want to leave a review?
Yeah. Like,
it does that to me now all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't even know this feature existed.
Well, Foursquare, when I was in Puerto Rico, Foursquare did this to me all the time. It's like,
we use Foursquare?
Yeah, it's still on my phone. Of course I do. I wanted food. Because I know where I was going. I'm hungry. I'm a snob about this stuff. I wanted to see who pick the good stuff. But like same deal. It's like, oh, we see that you're in Ponce. What do you? Here are the best cocktail bars. It knew that I wanted cocktails, which is disturbing. It's like, hey, I can eat too, but you think I need alcohol first. So yeah, I think personalization is going to be the next big frontier, and brands who are smart about that stuff will win, and brands who still get all stilted and weird are going to lose.
Definitely.
Well, gee, Mike, thanks.
Thank you. This is an awesome conversation.
I mean, this is because like
I think we went around the world and back.
Yeah, literally, we went all like this was like playing like around the world in basketball.
We went to Puerto Rico, and then Spain.
Yes, went to Spain. We went to Black Mirror, which is a scary place. We got out of Black Mirror, thank God. Thank you so much for being here, Mike. You're always such a great person to talk to because you're smart as hell.
Thank you so much.
And we'll put all the links to follow Mike at Mr. Mike Street, Smart Brown Voices, Woke, your children's book, what other things you have?
I have apps, everything in between.
Yeah, so basically I'm going to have the longest show notes ever for Mike's 11 billion jobs. And I encourage you all to follow them all because I said Mike is one of the best people to know and one of the kindest. And so therefore, do good. And we will see you guys next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
The Reset Podcast is sponsored by Bose. With my new Bose QC35 headphones, nothing gets between me and my music. The noise canceling is world class. They're completely Bluetooth, so there's no wires. The sound is amazing. My producer and I love these so much that we use them to record every single show. For more information about Bose QC35 headphones and other Bose products, check out Bose.com.
Audiation.